3 weeks ago I was an engineer, last week I was a doctor, and this week I'm a lawyer. The Nigerian parental trifecta. My bride price has increased though. Welcome back to the Ibianca Show. Today we're talking current events. It's been a very interesting week for US government officials. First, we had my dear ex-mayor, the mayor of Las Vegas, had an interview with Anderson Cooper, and it was honestly pretty terrible. She basically insinuated that it could potentially be a control group, so to speak, you know, let's open up and see what happens. And also that it wasn't in her job description to provide guidelines to the casinos because she's not a casino owner and not a manager. It was up to them to kind of decide how they would ensure that COVID-19 doesn't spread rapidly. It was very interesting. But that's not all. There are actually some US states that are looking to reopen, some more gradually than others. But the list includes Georgia, South Carolina, Ohio, Florida, Tennessee, Texas, Oklahoma, Vermont, Montana, Idaho, Mississippi, and North Dakota. Come on, guys. Do you see New York? And then we had President Trump insinuate that there was testing and investigations being done to see how likely it was that putting UV light directly on the human body could potentially help to prevent the disease or cure it. And also injection of disinfectant. I mean, it's Trump, you know. But as he was speaking, he was turning and looking to some aide. Sir, what was the aide doing? What is your job? What is your purpose? You couldn't be like, sir, no, that's incorrect. Who is doing an investigation like this? Please stop. But the one that I actually think that we'll be investigating today that I find a little interesting is that Ted Cruz is kind of putting the government on blast a bit. And I'm like, I don't think he's trying to run for president. Is he? Maybe he is. Judge Ibianca presiding. Order, order, order in the court. Ted Cruz actually, this past week, I was a little surprised, but he basically goes on an interview and says that we need to reconsider our relationship with China as a whole, and that in 2019, $76,000 went to funding the Wuhan Lab. I mean, that's like one person's salary or two, so to speak, right? But I think in 2015, there was a $3.7 million grant that was funding the lab. I don't know if there's like a play or a ploy. He just felt it was necessary to note that there was a small amount of funding that went to the lab. But I figured, you know what? Let's investigate. Let's look at all the evidence that kind of surrounds this situation. And side note, did you guys notice that like Ted Cruz, he looks a little different? He grew a beard, and I feel like all of a sudden he looks a little bit more trustworthy. Like, see for yourself. Ted Cruz before? He looks a little sketchy. Ted Cruz now. Ted Cruz before? Ted Cruz now. I kind of believe him. Let's look at the evidence. The virus did originate in Wuhan, within a few miles of the lab. The Chinese government has, within its track history, has not always been the most forthcoming in terms of information regarding this. And so some people feel like, is there something that you're hiding? There's been no transparency of data and information for us to rule out or to confirm whether that this originated from the lab. There was a Chinese doctor that tried to warn about the threat and seriousness of COVID-19, and then he eventually ended up dead. Objection! Speculative. sustained. The US has funded the lab in the past, in 2015, and then with a small amount in 2019. And last but not least, 2 years ago in 2018, there were intelligence reports that showed concern over the procedures of the lab. Some of the concerns include not having adequate trained staff and technicians. And another item, the lab was doing studies on coronaviruses and bats. All right, now for the other side. The lab actually finally responded and said that there's absolutely no way that the virus could have originated from them because they have strict regulations and protocol. There isn't actually any data to show that the virus came from bats. Based on no data, we're saying the most likely scenario is that it originated from bats, but it's possible that it did not. We need the data to see. The most likely scenario is that this actually originated from an animal host and it was not engineered in a lab. Now, the Wuhan lab does actually work with the closest relative of COVID-19. However, scientists say that the difference between the two are about 50 years of evolutionary change. So although we're the closest, it's still not close enough. So what do you guys think? Do you think there is enough evidence to warrant concerns about it potentially coming from the lab? It does look like the US government is launching a full investigation of the lab to figure out what has happened. So far, there is no concrete evidence, but it does look like it could be worth investigating further. Do you think that this virus could have been accidentally released by the lab, or do you think that they're reaching? Now, I do want to say one thing. I know this is a contentious topic, but please, 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 nothing in the comment section about 5G and about replacing the batteries of pigeons. Yes, I said pigeons. That's a theory. We're sticking with the facts that I've presented to you all today, and I would like you all to comment accordingly to the facts that have been presented in this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Case adjourned. So thank you again for watching. Stay tuned until next week.